hair's a mess, I know. I just came back from running some pretty important errands. And when I say running, I do mean running. Running across streets, running down the block to catch a bus. Running. So, I gotta tell you, man. I made a post talking about the two different situations. One with the Ukrainian woman being stabbed on the train, and then of course Kirk getting shot. And I talked about how with the first one, the stabbing on the train, the Ukrainian woman, the right was saying, oh, well, he didn't need a gun, and I guess we need more knife control. Smart ass comments like that really unsettled me. And then I found out later that same day about Kirk, and then the left is like, oh, he got shot by a gun and he was pro-gun and all this shit. And look, I already talked about how I disagree with using someone's death as a lightning rod for your beliefs. I think it's sick. I think it's sociopathic. I think there are a lot of mental health issues in this country that really go unnoticed. But I think it's starting to come into the forefront. But what I saw after that, after I had posted my video last night, I started to see all the comments coming in, especially about Kirk. I don't care what you believe about the man. I don't care what you believe or disagree with him. He was a human being. You may have differing viewpoints, but that's America. Nobody deserves what he had happen to him. And people forget that it wasn't just him. He was there with his wife and his kids. Could you imagine his young son or daughter being there and seeing that happen? I watched the video and it was disturbing to watch. And then you get all these assholes on here that make all these conspiracy theories about the ring switching fingers or falling off or not or whatever. Somebody running away from the scene. Well, everybody was running away from the scene. It was a fucking shooting. I just don't understand people. I really don't. We have lost our humanity completely. And it scares the shit out of me to see what's happening right now. Yes, the acts of violence are bad, but then, in my opinion, the people celebrating are almost just as sickening. You have to have a very large mental health issue to celebrate somebody's death. That is a mental disorder. That is sociopathic at its fucking definition. I don't care if you like him or dislike him. I don't care if you agree with him or not. He's entitled to his opinion. Nobody should be shot because they said words. There was more of an uprising when Chris Rock got slapped for saying words. Acts of violence have no place in a debate setting. It just doesn't. If you're there to debate somebody, you know you're going to disagree before you even get there. You may want to stand up for your beliefs. You may want to say what you feel you need to say. But to sit there and celebrate somebody's death makes me sick. And I got to tell you, the right wing is kind of just as guilty sometimes. And I am not saying either side is perfect. I don't agree with either side sometimes. I think the political divide in our country has gotten so fucking bad that people have quit caring about any of it. And they just want it to go away. But then some people are just angry about it. And they don't know where to put their anger. But to actually have someone dancing because somebody got shot and killed in front of his wife and children, to me, makes them less than human. I don't care what your thoughts are. I don't usually get political. I don't make political posts. And I've said before, the two things you'll never see on my channel are religion and politics. Because it's always going to be divisive. Somebody's always going to be up your ass about it. There's always going to be comments in your section with some asshole saying their opinion to the point of aggravation. But I feel like at some point you have to stand up and fight for something. And I'm not fighting for the right side. I'm not fighting for the left side. I'm fighting for humanity's side. I am fighting for the realization that some people are so detached and desensitized now that this has come commonplace. And it sucks. And it's scary as shit. Once you quit caring about people, it's over. And it's kind of fitting that I'm making this post on 9/11 because I don't know how many of you watching this are going to remember 9/11 or were there for it. But it's the one time in my lifetime that I truly felt like our nation was united as one person against a common enemy. Because somebody came into our home and they messed up our kitchen and they threw a bunch of stuff around and they left a bunch of dead bodies in our wake. And we were mad. We were infuriated that someone could come in and do that to us. We had a false sense of security, and that led us to one of the worst tragedies in our country's history. And since then, we have just got further and further apart. And I don't care if a person is black, white, Latin, Oriental, male, female, trans, something else. Nobody deserves to die like that. Nobody. I found it horrific. What I saw just sickened me. And there's something else I want to add to these videos. Irina, the Ukrainian woman that was stabbed on the train, there's been a lot of talk about the people around her who just sat there, did nothing to help her, did nothing to the guy. There were a bunch of guys on that train and not one made a move toward him. If I was on that train, and I fully believe this, with every fiber of my being, I believe this. If I had saw that happen, first of all, I would have tried to launch on him as soon as I saw him swing on her. Because that's who I am and that's who I've always been. I would have done something. I know it in my bones. But let's take away the guy for a second. Let's take away the guy who actually did the act. Let's take a look at Irina. On the train floor, bleeding out. And people just walked away from her. People had phones. Nobody called. Nobody did anything. Nobody tried to stop the bleeding. As far as I'm concerned, those people should be in a jail cell right now too. They should be. They watched her die. And when you quit caring about life to that extent, I feel it should be criminal. You can't just sit there and watch somebody die. I believe that should be criminal. And I believe that the people on that video should be charged. And people in that video in particular were talking about, oh, it's race related, it's race related. And here's where the conversation gets kind of sticky. Because, yes, he did say, oh, I got the white girl. But did you hear how he said it? That's how he said it. I got the white girl. The dude was not there. I don't believe this was a race issue more than I believe it was a mental health issue. Now, having said that, I do not believe that just because it is a mental health issue means he gets off scot-free or he gets to go to some mental health facility. No. Sometimes, irrespective of the cause, the act deserves the punishment. And in this case, the act certainly deserves the punishment. And I hope that his end comes painfully. I do. That's the one type of person on this planet. And I hope I get this through to people. I try to love people and I try to care about people. And sometimes it's very hard. And sometimes people do things that are absolutely reprehensible and vile and disgusting. Kind of like dancing around celebrating somebody's death. But in the case of this guy here, there is no forgiveness. Yes, he has mental health problems, and I think that was obvious. But I think people took what he said and tried to use it as a lightning rod again. I personally believe he's just not all there. I think that goes without saying at this point. And so, I don't call it a race issue, I call it a mental health issue. But even though it is a mental health issue, he needs the due punishment. And the one people on this planet that I feel just need to be taken off the planet are the people who cause harm and pain and kill people indiscriminately and have no moral compass whatsoever. Those are the only people I don't care about and just need to be taken out of here, in my opinion. And everybody's going to have their opinions about that and, oh, you know, well, it's mental health and they can't help it. You're right. You're right. He has a mental health issue and he cannot help it. And Irina could not help what he did to her. You know, the video yesterday, I said I didn't want to kind of tie his mental health with my own situation with my wife. You know, my wife has a mental health condition. And she grabbed my son 8 days ago and left with him. And my son is in danger right now. And I love my wife. And I know she has a mental health condition. And I've sat here for over a year trying to help her get past it. Trying to help her live a normal life. I got her into a place. I got her son. It's because of me she had him in the first place. And I know what she did was because of her mental health. But she still did it. And now there is no forgiveness. And I will never take her back, and I will never help her again. Because sometimes the actions do deserve punishment. Sometimes the actions teach you a lesson that, okay, this person cannot live in society. And that's the case with this gentleman here. He could not live in society. And people being nice to him is why a talented young woman is dead. The reactions on both sides have sickened me. And it's funny because I used to call myself a Democrat. I used to be very, pro-choice and don't really care about a person's sexuality. Doesn't bother me. And the more and more I see this, the more I change. The more I see how desperately sick the left side is. You should never, ever celebrate somebody dying. Ever. Unless that person was an absolute animal and didn't care about people. Like people are going to bring up George Floyd. This man, I don't know how many people know this, but this man held a knife to a pregnant woman's stomach in a robbery. That's kind of a vile piece of shit. And I don't feel too bad for him. There's got to be a separation between the people that are good and the people that are not good. The people that are sane and the people that are insane. And I think those lines have been blurred a lot. People want to get on their pedestals and they want to talk about standing up for everybody and encompassing everybody and equality to its fullest extent and allowing everybody their spot. You know, it's pro-race, it's pro-sexuality, it's pro-religion or lack thereof. It's pro all of these things. But what it's not is pro somebody that thinks differently than you. It's not pro thought. It's not pro critical thinking at all. People used to say, I don't like this, it's not for me, and they went along their way. Nowadays, people say, I don't like this, it shouldn't be for anybody, and they tear down anybody that doesn't agree with them. And I just don't understand that mindset. Sometimes I really do feel like we're falling apart. I feel like we are on the brink of something horrible. And the funny thing is I don't think people understand what that's really going to mean. They talk a great talk until it's civil war. And then I bet you most of these people talking a great talk are going to piss themselves. And sometimes I wonder if we're not on the brink. As scary as that is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a tough one, but something's got to change. And people really need to start caring more about their fellow man. That's all I got for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. My name is Kevin Jackwoods, Kaged Nation, out.